Welcome to the RVA Affiliate Collective podcast, where we share stories around the business of fitness and other things going on in the local RVA fitness community. Be sure to check out our collective shop at rvaaffiliatecollective.org and give us a follow on Instagram at RVA Affiliate Collective. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Collective Podcast. I'm here with Hallie of DuraMater Therapy.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a real pleasure.
Sure, anytime. So who are you and what do you do?
Let's see. Well, my name is Hallie Lifson, and I am an occupational therapist by trade. A lot of people don't know what OT is, but it's essentially a rehabilitation specialist. And my focus right now is on myofascial release. And I'm also an avid CrossFitter, love CrossFit, and I'm a CrossFit coach. So when I opened up my space, a lot of people were like, what is myofascial release? And in fact, when I was putting my website together, I was told, please don't put myofascial release, just put massage or body work or something because people don't know what that is. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that so people know what fascia is. Is that okay?
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, so the way I learned about fascia is through my own back injury. It's been about a year ago now. I had a really pretty bad back injury picking up a 100-pound D-ball in a CrossFit gym, which I really had no business doing. But through that rehab process, I really learned a lot about my own body. And you would think I already know a lot because I'm an OT and I've worked in cadaver labs. But this rehab process really focused me in on what fascia is and what it does in the body. I started reading a ton of things. I read Thomas Meyer's Anatomy Trains. I'm throwing that out there in case anybody's interested in learning more about it. Gray Cook's book on corrective exercise. And then this really great French researcher, Jean-Claude Guillemberteau, which you can get on YouTube and look up his videos of what fascia looks like in the body. And then I went and got trained with basically the myofascial guru. His name is John Barnes, and he's been training people for about 30 years. He himself was a weightlifter and had a terrible back injury doing a very, very heavy back squat by himself. He was also a physical therapist at the time, so he figured out how to rehab himself after going through the medical system and not getting very much relief. So he opened up his own PT clinic, and pretty soon everybody was coming to him and not his other PTs. So he started training the PTs, and then he started training everybody. So that's where I got my training from.
Awesome. So for someone who maybe like myself, like quickest way to identify what fascia is and maybe what releasing that is like.
Okay. Yeah. Quickest way. So myofascial release is a safe and very effective hands-on treatment that involves applying sustained, gentle pressure into the connective tissue and eliminates pain and restores motion in the body. So that's what I'm doing for people. What is fascia? This is pretty interesting to me because in OT school, when I was in the cadaver lab, which is a whole nother story, that first day in the cadaver lab.
Oh my goodness.
It involved a circulating saw. But anyway, so we as OTs, we had to share the cadavers with the dental students and the PTs. And because we're supposed to be like the fine motor specialists, they had us go in and literally scrape off the fascia off the bodies.
So you know exactly what it is.
I know exactly what it is, but we didn't think it was all that important. And this is only about 10 years ago. And now we know so much more. So it's such a privilege actually to be in that anatomy lab and gain that level of knowledge about the body. But I've learned so much more since. So fascia is essentially a specialized system in the body, which we didn't know existed before. In fact, a couple of years, some researchers at UVA came out and said, oh my gosh, we've discovered an entirely new system in the body. It's not entirely new. People have known it's there, but we couldn't really see it because we were studying on dead people. There's not much to see. The body's dead. So now we have the technology. We can see what it's actually doing in the body. So it's a specialized system, and it looks like kind of like a spider web. a little bit. Or you can think about it like a sweater. It's a very densely woven covering, and this is clutch. It's interpenetrating every single muscle, every single nerve, artery, vein, as well as our internal organs, heart, lungs, brain, spinal cord. So it's not just a system of separate little coverings over each of those things. It's actually one continuous structure. Which to me, it's really fascinating. Yeah. And it exists from head to toe. And it is connected to every other part. So it's like a yarn that you would pull out of a sweater. So when you have trauma there, which is what we're doing in CrossFit, we're actually, it's micro trauma daily, especially if you're working out like 6-7 days a week. You're creating restrictions. Okay. So those restrictions in the fascia have about 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. Okay, that's on like very pain-sensitive structures in the body. So this is why after you do Diane in the open, and then you have deadlifts programmed the next day, when you get out of your bed, you can barely like brush your teeth or sit down on the toilet. It's because your fascia has just like clenched down. So there's a high percentage of people, not just CrossFitters, but just people suffering from pain and lack of range of motion, and it's probably just undiagnosed fascial restrictions.
Interesting. So you see a lot of CrossFitters when they're super sore, or anybody typically, they go into the gym and they just hop on a foam roller. Is that doing anything for that system?
That's a great question, actually, because what I like to do and what occupational therapists do is we don't want you to come to us and we treat you and then you have to keep coming to us for 12 weeks to keep getting our treatment. What we want to do is empower you to treat yourself. So really, everybody should be spending about 10, 15, 20 minutes a day releasing their fascia, especially CrossFitters. And what I see a lot is people with their foam rollers in the gym, and it's a fun time, right? We all want to socialize, but they're literally like rolling back and forth so quickly. And what we know now about fascia and how it releases is you have to sit on it with that sustained pressure for really 3 to 5 minutes, ideally 5. So you really have to let it melt like butter. So when you see people rolling really quickly, they're not really doing much.
Right. I guess they're getting some sort of CNS response, right? Some sort of parasympathetic type thing.
Well, I think it may feel good,
right,
maybe, but it's not really releasing the fascia.
Sure. That's interesting because when I was doing some of the personal training coursework, they talked about the foam rolling, and they said obviously not fast, but they would say at least like 30 seconds for, some sort of triggering to actually happen.
It's longer.
Yeah, I would imagine longer is better.
It's longer,
right?
But yes, foam rolling absolutely does work, and I give it as homework all the time. But you have to do it slower and longer than you think. So basically nothing can be rushed. You can't force it. You have to just let it kind of unwind on its own, and that's through the sustained pressure.
Gotcha. So to sum it up, fascia is this spiderweb of things. Is that between like your skin and your actual muscles that you can see, protruding, or like the things you can touch and feel, or where is it? I guess if you were just to
talk about you typically sort of see it. You can get on the YouTube and see it in that Gimberto video, but it's actually filled with fluid. It's a tubule, and it's filled with light too, actually. Yeah, excuse the hellhounds. We have 2 Rottweilers at our gym. They're great dogs, but they do like to bark.
That's all right.
Yeah, so that's like basically the first line of communication on a cellular level. So if you have restrictions in that outer level of fascia, then your muscles aren't getting the fluid, the vitamins, all the good things you're doing and eating. It's not really getting to your muscles if you have a restriction there. And your muscles can't work like they're meant to work when they're restricted.
Interesting. So all the foam rolling and then mixed with maybe like compression therapy and all that. So you see a lot of elite CrossFitters especially doing that stuff. Yeah. Even the stem devices, and they always talk about how it promotes blood flow and how that helps, remove waste and things like that. And even massage therapists will talk about, drinking lots of water because I just did a bunch of stuff and that's going to release toxins and flush it out. But you're saying there's this other thing in between all of that, I guess. Called the
no,
fascia.
it's not an other thing. It's literally fascia
It's part of
is
it.
everything. Yeah, it's literally like the first line of communication with everything in your body. It is, what we're really made of. The one that we are just learning about, the fascia that we're learning about is the outer layer that I'm talking about, but it's communicating with all of the rest of you. Does that make sense? It's all one thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is really interesting. Yeah, so all of the recovery for CrossFitters, I feel like when I started CrossFitting, there was like zero talk about that. I think I've been doing it for like 6 years now. And that maybe I just didn't know about it. I don't know. You'd think I would because I'm an OT, but I just didn't have any recovery at all. I was CrossFitting like 6-7 days a week. So were my friends. And the recovery day was like, oh, let's go for a 6-mile run.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, that's thankfully that's changing. At least at the elite level, you hear people talking about it differently. But I think you don't hear about it in your everyday gym because it's not being prioritized.
Right. Except for here.
Right. There we go. So come to DBG CrossFit and see Hallie for recovery priority. But even for myself, when you look at the workout on the board, right, you go into your typical gym, you got your programming, and you see warm up, you see maybe a strength portion, you see some sort of conditioning piece, maybe some skill work or some sort of combination of that. It's very rare you see ROMWOD at the end or you see foam rolling prescribed. And then if it is prescribed, it's very rare that the coach leads it. It's not just something on the board for if you want to do it, you can do it. I think it's a combination of managing your hour effectively.
Yes.
Do you actually give people time to do that?
Yeah.
And then also, do you lead people to do it and stress the importance and educate them? Or you just say, hey, if you're feeling sore, make sure you do a couch stretch before you go. Yeah.
So I think that is when I started coaching. This is like a lead into basically I was like, I was looking for resources so that I could be the best coach that I could be. I love CrossFit. I tend to think about things a little more clinically. So I gravitated towards Active Life, RX. And I just love what they've done for my coaching because I'm now looking at every single athlete from a joint level up. So, there's a lot of CrossFitters that have been coming for years and just are like, oh, I don't have a good squat. I don't have, a good whatever. But really what they don't have is the range of motion just at a joint angle. So I'm helping people here at DBG hone in on what they need to hone in on before the workout. So they're coming in like 20 minutes before the WOD. And instead of, like you said, rolling around on the foam roller, they're actually doing the exercises that I've prescribed for them so that they are getting the full range of motion at a joint angle. Because they can't produce any real power unless they have the full range there. And in fact, it's like a real lesson in frustration if, like, for instance, they don't have the range of motion in their knee joint and we're asking them to squat deeper. Right. It's just they're going to be in pain.
Or 20.4 comes up and they can't balance on a pistol. They might have the strength, but they can't. Right. They don't have the dorsiflexion in the ankles, right?
So really it's not about like what the coach knows or really so much about the programming. It's actually empowering your athletes to have and your coaches to have conversations about that. And so every single athlete that comes here in the NDOC program gets a movement assessment from me. So I'm looking at every single angle that we need to look at to make sure they can do what they need to do in here safely so that they can actually increase their capacity and reduce injury.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
So you get to see both sides of the puzzle, I guess, because you go in and coach a class, and then you also might take athletes in here and work on them prior or before or after. But then you also go and just do therapy for people, right? Not necessarily just CrossFitters.
Right. Yeah. So I have my own separate entrance here, which is so nice. So I do work on everybody. I think I just gravitate towards CrossFitters because it's what I love to do. And because I really think CrossFitters need this. I think a lot of us are walking around unnecessarily like in pain when you don't need to be. So that's what I'm doing is I'm going around to CrossFit gyms and just teaching CrossFitters about recovery and how they can become more conscious about their bodies and how they can feel better in them and get stronger. So basically you'll have people that have been like stuck for a long time and they don't know why they're stuck and they're frustrated. And it could be something that's very easily solved with a movement assessment or a strength balance assessment. So looking at, what their squat is compared to their deadlift and honing in on that. So I do that too. And then I also have a few clients now who are coming to me specifically for programming to work on their range of motion so that they have a 6-week program that they're honing in on what they need to hone in on. And they're using their time wisely in the gym. And they're still in their home gym, which is clutch. I feel like a lot of people, especially if they get injured, they feel disenfranchised from their gym, and they don't need to be. They just need to have either a coach there that has an understanding, or they can come to me and I can help them do what they need to do and stay with their friends in their own gym.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How long have you been open doing therapy?
So I've been an OT for about a decade, and I worked in pediatrics. Before that, I was actually a doula and a childbirth educator. So I think I bring some of that energy into my work now. Yeah. So I'm really in early days still. When I got my training with John Barnes, I figured I'd come back to Richmond. This was last January. I figured I'd come back and work in some kind of rehab setting. But the universe had other plans, and Marty from DBG had this fabulous room open up right next to a CrossFit gym. And I knew that opportunity was not going to present itself again. So I jumped on it, and I'm really glad I did. Sometimes it gets a little lonely because it's just me trying to figure everything out on my own. But I'm never, ever going to look back. I'm so happy doing what I do. So
it's great. Yeah. Let's dig into the business side a little bit. Like what is that like, running your own practice? And I know you're also coaching, which kind of helps, I think, bring people in a little bit, but just how was it starting out?
So I really just am figuring it out as I go. I mean, I got this space. First thing was, all right, I know what worked on me, and I want to get all the things in here that worked for me. So I got the far infrared sauna, which I love for recovery. I really love it. It's not like a normal sauna where you're just kind of breathing in some steam, which is also probably very therapeutic. But the far infrared goes so deep in the muscle. And like you were talking about, it really increases blood circulation, decreases joint pain. And actually, there are studies that say it increases your mood. So, and you're like a Ben Bergeron geek like I am.
Oh, yeah.
So
that could be a whole episode just geeking out on his stuff.
I love geeking with you about him. But anyway, yeah, I've got like a sweatshirt signed by him. It's pretty ridiculous. But anyway, I do listen to his podcast sometimes, and he talks about his top athletes are doing all these things daily. Mm-hmm. They're hypervolting. They're in the infrared sauna. They've really harnessed their recovery so they can do what they need to do. But I think, we act like, oh, we're just average Joes. But actually, if you're working out in a CrossFit gym 6-7 days a week, you're working out at a pretty elite level. So you really are going to feel better and be a stronger, more powerful athlete if you harness that part of the equation. So I'm here to spread the word about that. What else did you want to know about the business? Like the hardest thing?
No, I mean, that's interesting because back to our lovely Ben Bergeron, he talks about that. He talks about if I want to get better at CrossFit or whatever, I just pick a program that someone's doing at an elite level and I start doing it.
Oh my gosh.
Or I'm going every day, 5 days a week. I'm spending 2 to 3 hours in the gym. Like I've checked the box, but it's what you are doing the 22 or 23 hours outside of the gym that makes the difference, whether it's recovery, whether it's nutrition, whether it's mindset training of some sort, right? And that's what recently on this last episode, that's what he was talking about, is that
the sports psychology of it.
That's what unlocks it. Ultimately, it's a lot of people can follow a program and work out for 4 hours a day. And that's hard for some people, but like checking the box, I go in and I'm still not better. Why not? And it's taking that ownership and understanding that recovery is key. And rest days are for resting, not for 5Ks that are done slow, right?
Right.
Because that's still trauma, right? That's not going to help you recover by running a 5K or 2 or whatever, right?
Did you look at my notes?
I did not, but I'm very passionate about that. And Matt Fraser actually talks about that.
Yeah. So the active life. So I did the coaches training and now I'm in the immersion. And that is pretty key, is thinking about your rest day, not in terms of like that 3-mile run or 2,000 meter row, whatever, but really getting in the gym actually and still moving, because we know now that movement is medicine. Mm-hmm. Even like the rest, ice, compression, like that has changed. And it's like, no, let's keep you moving. That's really how you heal. So it's about coming in and doing the things for your body that feel good. So it's still doing exercises. It's the corrective exercises. We move so much in one plane in CrossFit. It's just that sagittal plane over and over and over again. So coming in and doing the 90-90s or whatever, just to get moving in other planes. So, and then there's exercise for exercise, and then there's exercise for sport and to make you a good mover. I love CrossFit as a sport, but I think there has to be a balance there, and people need to understand kind of where they are on the spectrum, and if they're in here to just exercise or if they're in here to be good movers. And I want more people to focus in on being really good movers and feel good in their bodies and strong. Yeah,
that's important, right? Your recovery day, using it to move and mobilize, right? If you're going to go and run for 30 minutes for your recovery day and then go and sit down and rest the rest of the day, you're not helping. You're actually, hurting the equation, because now you're locking up those muscles, right? And that's probably layman's terms, but that's how I feel about it. It's like if I would go and run for half hour and then sit down at my desk
it's like
for 8 hours, like I get up and I feel like I just did some brutal workout, so I can't even move my legs very well.
Well, one thing we started doing here, just to kind of help people understand what a recovery workout is we have a recovery corner. And typically our rest days are Thursdays. We still have workouts here on Thursdays, and it's like, oh, we just want you to keep moving type workouts, but they're still hard. But we have more and more people who are just coming in here and doing the recovery workout that's in the corner. That is usually, I try to program it, like now I've been programming it as a recovery from the open workouts, but it'll be whatever's just done us all in that week. I'll put something up. And I think, it's really been appreciated. The other thing we're doing here, and this is sort of a plug for DBG, but we did a nutrition challenge here, and that I think has just really helped everybody understand how important, first of all, getting the amount of protein you need. If you're working out this hard, you really need to get that protein in there after your workout so that you can rebuild all the muscle that you've been tearing down. So yeah, it's fun to watch people come in and not have a whole lot of strength or even body awareness and just get it so quickly in here. So anyway, I'm happy that we're able to provide like more of the pieces of the puzzle than other gyms.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's obviously, I think a lot of gyms would love to do that, right? Just like they would love to have a yoga day where either they have a studio in their gym or they have some other offering. And being that you are right here inside of a CrossFit gym and actually coach in there, you can educate their members, your members, and not necessarily try to sell them on something at the same time.
I'm not selling them on anything, but the challenge, they wanted to win that challenge. So if they did 21 workouts in 31 days, and those included the recovery workouts, really the only way that you could get the 21 workouts in is if you did recovery workouts. And so they got entered into the drawing twice, but they won a ton of stuff. It was like a free whole nutritional assessment, body work from me, free month at the gym. And I think we're going to keep doing it. We had a huge number of people participate. We've only been open. We just had our 1-year anniversary. I say we, but it's not my gym. But I work really well with Marty, the gym owner. It's a nice reciprocal relationship. But so anyway, everyone was totally all in. We had, I think, 27, 28 people sign up. So
that's great.
Yeah, it was definitely a success.
You said it was one month long?
Yeah, it was just for the month of October, which
Sober October?
Well, we all learned that you can still drink straight vodka, and there's not that many. There's not that many macros in it, but
there's not. But the detriment to your system.
Well, and then you make bad choices.
Yeah.
That's
a topic right there for me. I'm pretty passionate about the alcohol thing.
Oh, you are?
just trying to educate people on it. Like, I drink, yeah, sure, but I think in CrossFitters, it's in the CrossFit culture. There's gyms with bars in them, right? There's we finished a workout, let's have a beer afterwards, which it has its place, I think.
Yeah.
But I think it's also, it's kind of like having donuts at your gym when you're trying to tell people about losing weight and how deadly sugar is.
Oh my God, but doesn't every gym have donuts in it? I mean...
Or alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And like, we'll have beer or we'll have this potluck and there's alcohol around. And to me, if people are trying to lose weight, I mean, we know that alcohol stops all fat metabolizing until the alcohol is processed.
Right.
And we know that one drink can lead to bad food choices or other bad choices. Yeah. And we know that the next day you're going to be inhibited. And in fact, Whoop just did this Sober October data analysis, and they're talking like hangovers don't last one day; they last 5, 6, 7 days. Gosh. When you're not performing at what you could be if you just hadn't drank. Right. And obviously, one drink or 1 to 2 a week, right? There's always moderation, of course. But I think in CrossFit, particularly, we tend to be like, oh, we're hardcore. We can throw down really hard, and then we can drink, and it's like. We preach this no sugar thing like crazy, but we don't really talk about alcohol. At least in the corners I've been in, I don't see it being talked about. Like, I feel like it's just as bad as sugar, like the sugar issue, right? Well, there's a lot of sugar in it. It is sugar. It has it in there, but not only that, it's the keto type propaganda that's like, well, it's vodka, so it's okay because guess what? There's no carbs, and it counts as something. Oh, it definitely counts. Whether you're going to count it as whatever, but I know because I'm actually counting my macros right now, so I don't waste them on that. Right. But yeah, sorry, that's a tangent, but it's just I feel like it's a miss, just like recovery. It's one of those things that's being missed. Yeah, well, it is. It is part of the recovery. Yeah. I mean, the nutrition, your sleep, your stress level. All those things factor in, along with your flexibility, your mobility, your strength balance, all of it. It's a big puzzle that you have to put together for yourself, and you need people who can help you understand how you can perform your best. And the one thing I love about CrossFit is I do think that it makes you stronger in life mentally. Like I really think that it helps people feel powerful and more effective and more in control of their lives. Yeah. So the best things in life, like mess up your hair, get you sweaty and strong. And yeah, I don't know. I like working on CrossFitters. Definitely. Yeah. What are some common misconceptions about what you do? Let's see. Common misconceptions. That would be maybe a no pain, no gain kind of thing. Because we're so intense, we don't have any problem with work ethic, right? CrossFitters don't. We actually have trouble with doing too much. And I think that can happen too with soft tissue work. You end up causing more trauma. And you might feel good for a couple of days, but what we're finding with the myofascial release, when you have that gentle, sustained pressure, is that the effects last and they don't when you just create more trauma. So I don't need to cause you pain to heal you. There is therapeutic pain, but that's on a case-by-case basis. Let me think. Another one would be... And maybe not necessarily misconceptions about recovery, but if you were to... Someone were to stop you on the street and ask you what you do, and you say, oh, I do myofascial release... Or however you describe your profession, I guess what would that misconception be? They would probably think that I'm a massage therapist. Yeah. And this is definitely not massage at all. Okay. So like how is it different, I guess? And as a summary fashion, like if you were just to explain it to somebody. Yeah, really like just on a practical level. A lot of times massage involves oil. I can't get the traction that I need on the skin when oil is involved. And I do cupping actually. So if I do cupping, I do that at the very end. And I do have to use oil for that. But, and that is basically pulling up the fascia and creating space that way. So it's still a myofascial release.
but just using technology. But that traction that I do, I have to get a good grip, skin to skin. So you can't wear lotion or anything when you come in here. And then basically you just kind of have to feel it for yourself, but you'll feel your body unwind itself. And there'll be just more space there than there was. We all have like short psoases from sitting all the time. So I spend a lot of time working on your psoas. We all have usually an anteriorly rotated hip. And then we all carry so much tension in our necks and shoulders, particularly CrossFitters with their traps. We're so upper trap dominant. So I don't even know if I answered your question.
That's fine. Yeah. But you're still doing manual work.
Yes,
like
manual therapy.
Like similar to like a massage therapist, I would
it's
guess.
It's similar, but different. Yeah. And I'm licensed under the Board of Medicine. I guess maybe massage therapists are too, but I can't call myself a massage therapist.
Yeah. I think they have some sort of licensure requirement, but I was just curious, I guess, if you were trying to explain the difference to someone who's maybe they haven't had a massage or had myofascial release, and whatever they know about either is probably what they've just seen on TV. Mm-hmm. And how would you, I guess, just kind of describe it to them? And why would they choose, I guess, you for body work versus maybe a physical therapist, or massage therapist, or something like that?
Well, I guess they would choose me because especially with CrossFitters, I understand CrossFitters. So CrossFitters that go to PTs that aren't CrossFitters will just say, okay, well, you hurt your back, squatting, just don't squat. And that's not what we want to hear. So occupational therapists, we help people get back to doing what they love to do. So I think that's why I'm gravitating towards CrossFitters, because I speak the language. And so I can, sometimes you'll have gym owners that'll invite PTs in or chiropractors in, and, they'll tell people to stop working out.
Really?
Yeah. And that's not what I do.
That doesn't help business at all, does it?
I figure out how you can get back to working out. And you just do that through an understanding of the body and slow, graded progressions back in.
Would there ever be a reason for you to refer, I guess, a client to one of the other things?
Absolutely. Yeah. If somebody's like coming in here and they're in a spasm or something, I can do the myofascial to help, but I would send them to a doctor or PT. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. I refer to all kinds of folks.
Yeah. I was just curious how it works, I guess, in a treatment menu. If you look at a menu and you have all these treatment options that are out there, right? And everyone says they help with sports performance, recovery, you name it. And it's like, well, what's the real difference?
Yeah.
And
well,
other than going and trying them all, how do you know what's best for you?
I think it's just kind of who you like to work with, what's convenient, what's in your orbit. I think more and more people are looking outside of the traditional medical system because, they're getting charged like $50 for an ice pack.
Yeah,
that's not really doing anything.
And where does frozen water come from?
I don't know, because I spend my time in the sauna.
Oh, there you go.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah, I think so. What gets you excited about what you do, coming in here and working on people?
Well, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I always put up like testimonial Tuesdays or warm fuzzies. That's really what gets me excited, is helping people get out of pain. It's just the best feeling in the world when you have somebody that comes in that's been like struggling with tendinitis for months, and they've been to Arasti, they've done all these other things, and it hasn't worked for them. And I do a treatment, and it's just, it doesn't take very long, and they're out of pain. So that really gets me excited. Also, people that think, oh, this happened recently, I'm not going to be able to compete in this motocross event. My knee is just really jacked up. And then I'm able to help them feel better, and they can go do what they want to do. So that's what OTs do. We help people do what they love to do. So that's what gets me excited about what I do. It's getting people out of pain.
I'd imagine that's pretty rewarding, right?
Very, very rewarding. But also, this is why I love coaching, because I have this side, but then I also have the helping people get super, super strong. which I love doing, particularly with females. Or people who have maybe been in shape at one point in their lives and gotten out of shape. So yeah, I just like empowering people.
Yeah, we all, as coaches, we all love the first pull up.
Oh,
Right?
All the skills. That's what always kept me going with CrossFit, was just gaining all the skills. So yeah, but you really
coaching someone to get those skills, right? That's just awesome.
Right.
You see their face just light up.
It is, but also understanding the progression to those skills, and getting the building blocks, the foundational pieces in order before you start working on skills. So
that requires a coach that's knowledgeable and hungry to seek out that kind of knowledge.
And that's what I liked about Active Life, is actually elevating the knowledge-based level of coaches. We all know so much, and I don't think it's valued like it should be. So I feel like with CrossFit gyms or any kind of coach that's kind of in the trenches, we need to develop better relationships with the rehab professionals so that they feel good, sending their clients back in.
Sure, definitely. And the founder of CrossFit, Greg Glassman, he talked about professionalizing the trainer's space because he felt like, I guess, your typical personal trainers and things like that, and the Globo gyms maybe wasn't a profession in a way that he was going for. And I think there's a disconnect with going to your L1, opening up a gym and coaching versus the L1 is foundational. Yeah, it meets the basic requirements, but it doesn't make you a great coach.
It's not an easy test, though, I will say.
No, it's not. And people tend to, you just need a weekend. And yeah, but the NASM cert's only a test too, So it's funny how, the naysayers, but I think there's, just like any profession, like you get your foot in the door with the L1, but it's on you as a coach, if you want to be, a professional trainer, to seek that knowledge, whether it's going down, recovery paths or understanding nutrition further and growing that knowledge, not just, I got my L1, I'm coaching, like that's it. Right.
I just want to hang out with my buddies and work out. No, Yeah, that's not what, I don't think CrossFit should be that. I mean, it's definitely a community, and I love that tribal aspect of it. I think we as just human beings really crave that tribal community. So I do love that, but yeah, it's more to it. You need to have a coach that has an understanding about how the body works.
Yeah, and be just curious and hungry for that knowledge.
And also, have an understanding if someone does get injured, helping them know how to modify their load so that they can eventually get better and increase their capacity.
Yeah, scaling, right?
Right.
Got to have that.
Right.
So what's next for DuraMater?
Oh gosh. Okay. So next, I'm going to start offering, this is so funny. So I joined this study group of therapists, and one of my old professors walked in from MCV. And so we're going to actually start doing joint sessions together, Myofascial Release, which is great because we can get really good traction with two therapists. So that's coming down the pike. You just have to come and feel it. It's amazing. You actually have shorter sessions when you have two people. We can get so much done in shorter time.
You saying 4 hands are better than 2?
Yes.
Interesting.
Definitely. You're going to have to come back when I get that going.
Yeah.
And then gift cards. Actually, right when I get off with you, I'm getting online to figure out how to get my digital gift cards up for the holidays. So
there you go.
And those make great gifts for coaches. Just saying, coaches need recovery too, probably even more than you do. So
yeah, because they tend to sacrifice their own fitness for others.
Yes.
And do you still do the discount for coaches, or?
Yes, coaches get a 25% discount.
Awesome.
And if I come to your gym, that I've been going to gyms since the spring, which is one of my favorite things to do, and just kind of spreading the word, meeting people. If I come to your gym and you come to one of my talks, then you get 10% off of your body work as well.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'll be at River City Fit this Saturday at their 9:00 teamer.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you have any others lined up that you're going to?
Do a lot with Stockyard, CrossFit Midlow. I'm putting the word out there. Anybody wants me to come for a teamer. It's great because everybody's just kind of hanging around rolling after the teamer. And my talk is about 15 minutes long. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. It's fun.
So if you have a gym out there and you want Hallie to come by.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a CrossFit gym either. It can be any gym.
Anywhere where people have some sort of pain or
Right.
limitation, right?
Which is most of us.
Yeah, so they would just reach out to you, I guess, through Instagram to schedule that?
Yeah, Instagram. So you can reach me at DuraMater Therapy on Instagram, and I have a little Facebook page, but I finally hired somebody to help me with my search engine optimization, which
There you
would
go.
be my bit of advice for any new business owners. Like that you should just do right off the bat, I think is really helpful.
Yeah, that's something I think is missed. As once you get your website up, you kind of set it and forget it, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I did. I mean, it literally took me like 20 minutes and I was like, okay, I'm
got
good.
a website, I'm official.
And then I started
Yeah.
posting on Instagram and then you're just busy doing your job. But now I'm kind of like taking a step back and getting some help where I need it. So anyway.
Yeah, SEO is huge, especially with Google, like being one of the top results anytime a keyword, right, that has to do with your
Yes.
business or has to do with the local area.
Yes.
That's huge for marketing funnels and kind of going down that rabbit hole.
And my advice for new business owners too would be don't be afraid to ask for a review on Google because they really are like very powerful, good reviews.
They are, and
I
there's
just got them on my website.
yeah, and it's totally cool to not only ask for the review, but also not necessarily pay for them, but encourage them through some sort of incentive to leave the review. I've seen like, you'll get 10% off your next session if you leave a review. And I've seen things like that incentivizes someone taking the time. Obviously, if someone really was happy with your service, they're typically going to leave you a review if you ask, but they will definitely leave a review if they didn't like something.
Yeah.
And so encourage, people, everyone who comes in contact with you, I think as a follow-up email, especially if it's their first time, it's, hey, if you don't mind, leave a review and you'll get a discount on your next booking that encourages them to book again.
Sure.
And answers that, question for them, but also gives you a review in the process.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't been doing that. I've been saying, I don't accept tips, but I do accept referrals and Google reviews.
yeah, definitely. And that's fine too.
yeah.
There's no perfect way.
Yeah.
That's one way I've seen it. And that I know for me as a customer for anything, I would probably, if I was thinking about getting the service again, I would definitely leave a review for a discount.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just my thing.
No, that's great feedback.
Yeah. Any other advice for business owners that maybe do what you do?
I'm kind of living the dream, to be honest.
Yeah?
There aren't that many people.
That's the advice. Live the dream.
That are doing what I'm doing. They're in rehab gym with a hospital, or they're in some kind of a wellness center or something. So this is kind of a new paradigm. Is having this kind of level of rehab. Affiliated with a gym. So I would say don't be scared. Get a lot of support from your friends and family and just take the leap because I don't know, I've just never been happier with my work life. And there's always so much to learn, especially when there's nobody telling you what you need to do. You can learn what you feel like learning that's going to really benefit your clients. So you're not stuck in a system that wants you to do things a certain way. So it's been really liberating.
Yeah, and I think also not being afraid to reach out to gyms and try to seek those partnerships, right? To do what you're doing, I think is not only myofascial release, but also your PTs and massage therapists or your yoga instructors or anybody who wants to be an add-on service or like an add-on idea. You can still have your own business and run separately. Yeah. But being in a gym where there's your target demographic is walking through the door every day.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And they're doing something that's going to require you later to help them. It's
the dream.
Yeah. It's like being a gas station at a racetrack, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to need that at some point.
Yeah, that's why my professor was like, oh my gosh, you are living my dream. So she's going to come work with me. So I was going to say, so I think one of your questions was like, what is how do people fail in your business? Yeah. And I would say it's probably just like staying in your little cocoon doing your clinical work. That's how you would fail. You really have to get out there and meet people, which luckily for me, I love to do. So, so hopefully I'll see y'all at your home gyms.
Yeah. Do you have advice for anyone who maybe is working in a hospital or they're more like an employee of an organization and they kind of have that entrepreneurial bug and they want to break out? Because I imagine you didn't always own your own businesses. You've
No,
probably worked
yeah.
for the man at some point,
Yeah,
right?
no, I've done all kinds of stuff. Early intervention, went into people's homes, worked with their babies. I did have my own business when I was a childbirth educator. So I think, I kind of knew how to get that going.
Like someone has the bug and they want to break out on their own, but they're not quite sure.
I would say just go ahead and do it. Get a website up. Tell your friends and family what you're doing. And then just kind of let it unfold naturally. I didn't go out seeking this. It literally landed in my lap. And I just knew it was an opportunity and jumped on it. But you can make your own opportunities too. So
That's true. And you mentioned seeking friends and family. I think that's important, that a lot of people who want to start their own business think that they don't want to sell to their friends and family. But at the same time, if your friends and family wouldn't want to buy your service, why on earth would anyone else?
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, really like just having like a lot of like pain in our bodies and postural dysfunction, it's kind of an epidemic. So, the fact that you can come here and it's just a drop in the bucket in terms of finances to be out of pain.
Yeah.
It's just worth
versus
it.
maybe other pain therapy like
Or going through the
medicines
medical
and-
system and taking pills and, maybe having side effects. And I don't know. I just think the proof's in the pudding. Myofascial release is, it works. So
side effect is happiness and pain
a
free.
side effect is full range of motion, good movement. Yeah. Being out of pain and being able to do what you love to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you?
That is funny. Okay. So I don't even like the word weird.
Whatever, replace it with whatever you want.
Interesting. How interesting am I? How interesting am I?
And maybe what would other people say?
I would say
guess.
I'm definitely not a basic. I'm not basic.
Okay.
But so how interesting am I? I don't know. I mean, I think I'm maybe like a 7 or 8 interesting. It depends. I mean, I definitely have a lot of interesting hobbies. I believe in neuroplasticity. That's what OTs do, is we create neural pathways through doing things, and that's how we heal the body. So I like picking up new things like dance and surfing. And so that's why I love CrossFit, because you get so strong doing that. It's like a great platform to go and do all kinds of other things.
Yeah.
Climbing and yeah.
Take your fitness outside of the gym.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Just enjoy your life. Yeah. And I think some people too, like that whole weird thing, like people are just really they can get really hung up on what other people think, and they don't do what they love to do. And I think if you find something that lights you up, you should go do it.
Definitely. And there's nothing wrong with being weird, even if you use that word. I don't think, I
honestly don't think there's anything. I think everybody's a little weird and everybody's interesting and everybody has a cool story to tell. You just have to be curious and ask. And yeah, so I would say I'm interesting.
Yeah, and that's the idea. They're just oddball questions I throw at the end. The idea is that you would reveal some story about, something funny or clumsy or just odd
about me.
But I like your answer as well.
Well, yeah, I did take up pole dancing and did a competition and won a medal.
Well, there we go. I would say that's not normal for everyday people.
It was so funny because I just did it.
What was that like?
I did it on a lark, really, just because I've always loved to dance. My mother was a ballerina. My grandmother was a ballerina. And I never really loved ballet. I was a cheerleader. And so I went on a lark, and because I was so strong from CrossFit, I ended up being able to just jump on the pole and invert, which people who'd been going to these classes for years couldn't do. So they were like, "Oh my God, girl, you got to be on our competition team." So
that's funny. From CrossFitter to pole dancer.
I was like, that's crazy. I am not doing that. But I got convinced because it was such a fabulous group of women. I mean, really smart too. Like, I think there's this perception of pole dancing and what it used to be, which, I guess there's some beauty in that too. But this is very different. It's definitely a sport and is now acknowledged as a sport. So, yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it. And it was the hardest thing I ever did, actually, because I had to do my own choreography.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I met some fabulous people. So yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah, I would say that would have fallen right under that. Yeah, for sure. Man. I never tried pole dancing.
It is really hard.
I know, it looks tough.
Yeah, you were strong or whatever, but then you have to have fluidity in your movement, and then you have to have artistry, and there's music, so it's very creative. I thought about signing up again, but I don't know. This business is kind of like a new baby. I don't like to leave it.
That's really cool. I actually used to dance ballet and jazz and tap and hip hop and all that.
Oh,
back
fun.
in the day.
Where did you go? Was there a studio
down in Chesapeake? There's this place, Academy de Ballet, which is right off of Battlefield Boulevard.
That's amazing.
It's funny because I did it when I was much younger, and it's one of those things where my sisters were doing it, so the boys were free and I was stuck there anyway because I was young. So from 7 to 13, I was dancing.
That's awesome. I have the weirdest question. What do they call male ballerinas? Are they just ballet dancers?
I can't even remember.
Or are they like
Balanceur comes to mind, but I don't know if that's true.
I know. I'm gonna have to Google it.
Yeah, I never really thought about
You're
it.
like my grandmother's dream, though.
I just know it was really cool as a 10, 12-year-old to dance with girls.
Sure.
And people are like, oh, you do ballet. That's so feminine or that's gay or whatever. And it's fine if you're gay.
No, Joe, you get
but
all
it was
the
always
ladies
funny.
if you know
I was like,
how to
well,
dance.
I dance with girls every day. To me, that's the most hetero thing to do.
Totally. I've always told my boys. I have 5 kids, 4 boys, 1 girl. And I've always told the boys, they all did cotillion. I'm like, you got to learn how to do this because the ladies love a good dancer.
Yeah. And I enjoyed the ballroom dancing stuff. They would do specialty classes where you do ballroom, or you can even do square dancing and things.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. As I talked before we started recording, the musician in me. Mm-hmm. So doing things to music was always, the whole choreography and rhythm and idea. It was just something I grew up around, with my dad doing music and recording and
very cool.
Sisters dancing and stuff. So it's just funny that you mentioned not really being into ballet, but pole dancing. And I'm like, man, I can't think of at a Christian ballet studio we'd ever have had that as an option.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was a Dogtown Dance Theater. If you're looking for something new and fun and different,
I think I'm good.
Pole pressure.
I think I'm good.
I was going to ask you something though, and I can't remember what it was now. Oh well.
About
the
dance.
Oh, I was going to tell you that there are all these studies that came out, and I wish I had my facts straight, but about how good dancing is for you as you age in terms of keeping you, spry and active with your brain because it's got the socialization piece, and you're using your basal ganglia in your brain, which is the movement center. So learning new choreography is really, really good for you. So it's good to go out and do new things. It's good for your brain.
Definitely. Yeah. Constantly.
Maybe not pole dancing. But
yeah.
You have to be particularly brave to take that one on. I got some guff for it.
I can only imagine the inherent stigma in doing something like that in the general population. But not only that, even my own, I guess not understanding of the female psyche to understand why something that was and just hear me out, I guess. It's something that I've always questioned, but I've never really talked to anyone about it because I don't really know how to vocalize it. So I'll try right now.
Okay. This is fun.
Something that culturally, maybe historically, has been something that is sexual. Mm-hmm. And especially in recent time, it's always, strip clubs. That's where the poles are for women to dance on. But then you have on the other side of that, you have, not the other side, but in another world, you have aerobatics and acrobatics and I don't even know what you call them. I call them curtains, but whatever it is that they climb up and dance on. And that has never been, well, I guess it has.
the hula hooping and the lyra.
Yeah, I guess in some circles it's been sexualized, but not you go to these theaters in Vegas for the show of the Chinese acrobats and stuff, and they're doing very similar stuff, but when you hear pole dancing, you immediately go to the sexual nature of it. And I think it's because that's culturally where we think of. But for me as a guy to try to imagine, even if I wasn't doing it for the sexual reason, I don't think I would want to, because
as a man?
No, just trying to understand from a woman's perspective, why would she want to put herself in that position to...
Oh, you just have to do it to find out. Yeah. You have to do it. And I think what I like about it too is the women in that class were no joke, they're 2 physicists in there and attorneys and really smart
Sure.
women. So it's not, like they're doing it to get their kicks that way. But you are moving sensually. Women's bodies are beautiful. And,
Of course.
So there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's actually taking that stigma and turning it on its ear that I actually liked a little bit, and using my strength in new ways. It was really empowering. And what I also found out is people who thought it was strange or different, I just, I don't want to hang out with people like that. I like to hang out with people who are much more interesting and smart than that. So
yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's hard for me to really voice, I guess, if I were to put myself in a woman's shoes, which is always a good thing for a man to try to do, but to think like, oh, I'm going to go try something new or do something. Let me go do pole dancing and then try to tell the world it's not sexual, because I know that's the first thing they're going to, it's like,
well, what's so wrong about it? Actually,
there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that it seems like an uphill battle to, I'm doing pole dancing, but it's not that kind of pole dancing. Is actually empowering. And it's like this whole,
but isn't that like sort of the story as women? Like we've been kind of marginalized in a lot of different ways, and we've been disempowered in a lot of different ways. So I think maybe this coming out is us kind of like taking back our power.
Definitely.
Yeah. So maybe that's kind of why there's a resurgence there. It's like taking that, what's been, I guess, seen as demeaning and actually empowering it. So. Yeah.
I think it's awesome either way.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine, I guess, wanting to put myself through, but then again, I'm not a woman and I'm not a pole dancer. So it's just always been this thing I've been curious about.
Most people are not going to want to do it because it is so rigorous.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to want to. And I think that was what attracted me actually, was how difficult it really was. This business, I haven't danced in like a year, but yeah, since you asked me the question, figured I'd answer.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, we have like 3 great pole studios in town. Just another way to get fit.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like you've tried a lot of other professions. So my other oddball questions usually like, other than what you're doing, what if you could just be king for a day or queen for a day and pick something, what would it be as a profession to try?
It would definitely not be a pole dancer.
Well, you already tried it.
I know. Yeah, that's a good question. I love traveling. That's one of my big passions. So actually, I would probably like plan really, really cool adventure trips that then I would have to go with the group on. Yeah, so that's what I would do. I don't even know what the name of that is. Adventure travel planner.
Who also participates in the excursions.
Yeah, I get to go too.
Yeah, like a tour guide almost.
There you go. Yeah. Tour guide. I didn't have a name for it. Yeah. I would want to be like an adventure tour guide.
That's really cool. There's these people who do that for Machu Picchu. So they take groups up and do that. And I think that would be a blast.
I would love to do that. New business idea, Joe.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go hike Machu Picchu. See how far we get.
Bring some people. Who wants to go?
CrossFitters.
Oh my God, we would totally slay. Which, by the way, I love what you're doing with this group. I'm really excited about what it's going to look like to get all 22 of Richmond's CrossFit gyms together, see what we can do. Like I told you before, I love the idea of us all showing up in our T-shirts and like cleaning up a playground together. There's so much manpower and like, heart with the CrossFitters. I think we can do some really cool things. And I'm from Richmond. I love the city. So yeah, it's going to be fun to harness
thank
the
you.
CrossFit power.
I agree. There's a lot of things on the list to do. My idea with this podcast is that I can tell people's stories and people can learn from each other without all of us having to be in the same place at the same time. So I released a survey and got a lot of good feedback, and there's a lot of want for professional development and understanding, I guess, how to run their business and how to be better at it. And I could try to put together an event and cover a topic every month, and that would take a long time. Or I could just let everyone else tell their story and share, and then we learn together that way, right?
Yeah, that's great. But I do like getting together, like when you had the networking event at the place downtown. That's where the next one is, right?
It is, and the one after that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I got that all set up.
Space.
Yeah. I liked it too. Yeah, I didn't get the rooftop for this next one. It was already booked, so we got a different space, but it's in the same building.
So will the rooftop be in December?
It'll be in January. I won't have one in
Okay.
December just because
Yeah,
holidays
that's crazy.
and everything going on.
Well, I will definitely be there.
That's
big,
great.
Big supporter.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
If anyone wanted to catch up with you and talk shop or maybe get work done, just
pop on by. I'm at 3821 Gaskins Road, right next to DBG CrossFit. And if you are a caffeine lover, you'll know where I am because I can see the drive-through Starbucks out my front door from my treatment table on Gaskins Road. So it's like kind of the corner of Gaskins and Broad.
Awesome. And then also Instagram and
Instagram is DuraMater Therapy at DuraMater Therapy. And DuraMater, people ask me all the time, that is Latin for tough mother.
I had to Google it.
Yeah, tough mother. and it's actually a part of the body. So it's the dura mater is the fascia that wraps around basically your brain and your spinal cord. So it kind of just all made sense since I have the 5 kids and
So tough mother therapy.
I can be tough when I have to be tough.
Of course. You're a CrossFitter and a mother.
Exactly.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing everything. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, just thank you so much for the opportunity. And I look forward to meeting more folks in your home gym. So if you hear this, go to your gym owner and say, hey, we want to have DuraMater come. So I'll bring my Hypervolt.
That's great. You also do Normatec too, right?
Yes. Well, so I'm actually an affiliate, of the Rapid Reboot. So if anybody out there wants to try the compression garments, you can come try them here, and then you'll get a discount with Rapid Reboot since I'm an affiliate.
Gotcha. And that's just the other brand of like
it's
a Normatec.
It's just the other brand of Normatec. Yeah. But I discovered them because I was doing Superfit actually. And, after a really hard workout, you just have Bambi legs and you can barely walk. Well, they had the compression garments there. And I was like, I don't care how much it costs. I like forked out, $10, whatever, in between every workout and actually got on the podium. So
there you go.
Yeah. And
nice.
At the end of that, I was like, how can we get a pair of these? So, we're a big believer. And also my daughter plays D1 lacrosse at Louisville. So she used them. High school athletes, man, they need the recovery piece. Like 75% of them get serious injuries. So, if you have a high schooler out there too, or an athlete, and they're just dead tired and they don't get a break, send them in here because I can help them feel better.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks for tuning in to the RVA Affiliate Collective podcast. This is Joe Ellis. Be sure to follow us on iTunes and give us a subscribe. Also check us out on YouTube under the same name, RVA Affiliate Collective. And don't forget our shop, rvaaffiliatecollective.org. Thank you. Have a good one.